Welcome. This is the Drupal usability meeting for January 27th, 2023. I'm Benji Fisher moderating. Also present are Simo Helston, who's sharing his screen, and we'll start the conversation. Christina Chumias, Istvan Sabo, and Quinn Pham. Hope my pronunciation is acceptable. Go ahead, Simo. Simo? We can't hear you.
Yes. Okay, so this is issue number 2492171. It's to provide options to sanitize file names, transliterate lowercase, replace white space, etc. So this was created in 2015 and has been updated earlier this month, I think last week. So here, the purpose is to remove special characters from file names upon upload. I have a Drupal 10 website I built locally, so this one doesn't have access for other users because it's on my local. But you can see here the patch there provides this section file name sanitation, which has one checkbox, and checking that opens another set of options. I think here one of the issues I can see is that the checkbox that displays that like uses state API to display other items is called transliterate, and transliterate means replacing characters that are not in the character set by other characters. So I think I'm not a native English speaker, but I think it shouldn't hide option to replace white space. So it's replacing white space should be available as it is already. So I think this one's if we want to have one checkbox to hide the options from view, then we should have something like enable file name sanitation instead of using transliterate checkbox. Also, another thing is that it's a little bit misleading to say that file names contain only ASCII characters, because there are some special characters, and I have been actually comparing this to contributed module path auto, and with path auto we have
sorry, your audio is a little bit choppy. With path auto, we have
it's called reducing to US ASCII alphabet with transliteration, and then it's called ASCII 96 set if it's removing white space as well. So there is different versions used for this ASCII characters. So it's a little bit confusing to if it's not a precise term. Otherwise, one of the discussions in the issue was whether to have a separate replacement character for white space and non-alphanumeric characters and replacement characters. So if it should be one replacement character for everything, or if it should be selectable in each case.
Okay, but before you get into further details, let's pause for a minute and make sure that everyone understands the context. So
okay.
Uploading files to a Drupal site, the file may have any file name that the the host system allows, and this option is to change the file name by replacing some characters with others. Any questions about that? And I guess we're talking about the usability issues for the admin form where we configure this process. Go ahead.
Yes. So in the issue, there was a set of steps to follow. There was a set of questions for usability review. So one of them was to decide if there should be a user interface at all, or if this should be configured in settings PHP. And the other one was if there should be different replacement characters for whitespace, alphanumeric characters, and transliteration unknown characters. And if it should be separate shared characters, separate replacement characters, or shared setting, and where to place the replacement character selection, and also if there should be a selection for transliteration language.
Okay, so let's start with the first question.
Yes.
Do we want a UI? Is there any reason not to have a UI?
I don't think there really is any reason not to have user interface, and this is an issue that was created in 2015, and with the current current goals of Drupal, I think one of them is to make it easily usable by site builders. That's one of the goals at the moment also. So it should, I think, definitely should have user interface.
I mean, I agree. I think that this is the sort of thing we configure in the admin UI, and I just don't think that editing your settings.php file is has any reason to call itself good user interface. But maybe I'm missing something. Does anyone else have opinions on this? I guess not. Okay, so yes, we should have an admin UI. We have consensus on that.
Then
what question do you want to address next?
I think we should look at whether to have different replacement characters. And in the latest patch, it's using a single replacement character for everything that gets replaced. I think transliteration, it doesn't say here, but it kind of, like, I assume it removes accents from characters and uses those characters as such. So that's usually what transliterate does. I don't know what it does for Chinese or Korean or other characters, but it doesn't. But basically, it changes the characters to similar characters in other code set. But replacing is done for whitespace and dots, underscores, dashes.
Okay, so the question is, should we replace everything with a single character, typically a dash, but it's configurable? Should we replace everything with the same character, or should we replace spaces with one character and things like dots and semicolons with another character?
Yes, and I think my opinion is that I think a single replacement character would be enough for core functionality, as its file names are not like, usually they are not like directly displayed. So it's something for more like a technical compatibility, and to have it like as a default to have a kind of a good enough option. If we want to compare to contrib module, auto path or path auto, I never remember which way it was. I think it's path auto.
Path auto.
Yeah, so then we have like for punctuation, we have a long list of individual selects. And I think if we want to have individual selects, we could leave that to possible contrib module to extend.
Is everyone familiar with the path auto module? I think it's one of the first candidates for being included in Drupal core now that we've gotten rid of some of the lesser used modules. But it handles the path, what you see in the URL in your address bar in your browser. And among other things, it offers transliteration. So the same sort of changes for the path that we're talking about for file names. So you're saying path auto does or does not offer options for spaces?
Path auto has a very complex set of options, and I think this is more than is needed for file names. So this, I think for file names, this would be kind of overkill.
Okay, and any other opinions on whether to have a separate replacement character for spaces? I guess my opinion is that for usability, it's clear that simpler is better. If there is some other argument for why it's important to have separate replacement characters, that could override the usability concern. But strictly as usability question, the answer is clear that one option is simpler than lots of options, or even two options. Do you want to talk about the label for the form before it's opened up? I think that was one of the things you mentioned at the start.
Yeah, but we could go with where to place the selection for replacement character. That's one of the questions in the issue. So the question was whether to have it next to the checkboxes where replacement character is used, and also so that it would be, I think, displayed when the checkbox is checked, or if it would be in the end. And if we are using a single replacement character, I think it's better to have it in the end, because if it refers to the same character refers to two different checkboxes. I think there might have been an image for the other option.
And obviously, any issue with over 200 comments has a lot of opinions.
Yes. So here is the differences, whether it's in between the checkboxes or after all the checkboxes, the replacement character. And I think it looks better, like easier to comprehend when the checkboxes are in like all together without other stuff in between, even if the replacement character is connected to the replacement checkboxes.
I think I agree with you that it should not interrupt the sequence of checkboxes. So it should either be at the very top or at the very bottom.
Mm.
I think at the very bottom is fine.
And
Yes, I agree on the bottom, yeah. It's easier for user to follow, yeah.
Okay.
and then there's one small thing I was wondering. I'm not a native English speaker, so what is the difference between duplicate and double? Because I was thinking, is this a double dot and double underscore, or duplicate dot and duplicate underscore?
So what's the difference between double and duplicate?
Hmm.
I guess English is a wonderful language. Both words can be used either as an adjective or a verb, but in this context, they're adjectives. I can't think of any significant difference between them in this context.
Okay.
And does it actually remove two dots, or does it replace two dots with one dot?
I think it would replace it with one dot. I didn't check what it does, but yeah, it's not really clear. Yeah, it could be. Yeah, yeah. My idea was like just like I didn't even think about it removing it altogether, but just replacing it with single.
Okay, so one suggestion I have is to add description text there being a little bit more explicit. So something like multiple characters will be replaced with a single character. I assume that three dots will be replaced with one dot as well, although it's possible that the first two would be replaced with one and then we'd be left with two. But I'm not sure what's accurate, but a description saying what is accurate would help.
Yeah.
One question I have is whether it looks like it's not possible to replace white space without also transliterating.
Yes, and I think that's one of the problems. Yeah, the first thing that it wasn't asked in the issue, but it was kind of something that came up that kind of, I think there is the misunderstanding that what replacing like a transliterate would mean changing any characters. So it's kind of sanitation and transliteration were kind of confused when making that one, making the form. So I think transliterate should be like at the same level with all the other options. And the question is if this is that kind of form that should be kind of hidden. If there is, I think it might be something like there would be a checkbox for enable file name sanitation or sanitize file names, and then it would show these ones. But I think this is not really such a long list of options that I'm not sure if it's really necessary to have this hidden. But for sure, we shouldn't use transliterate checkbox for hiding this. It should be kind of a top level term.
Right. Okay. So here's my advice. First of all, instead of file name sanitization, that's a 5-syllable word. Make it sanitize file names. So make it an action, a sentence, rather than a label. And then second, make the whole thing a details element collapsed by default. And so when you click on sanitize file names, the whole thing opens up. You can choose any one of the options, whether or not you've chosen to transliterate.
So we are looking at this kind of element, punctuation, that can be opened and closed.
Right, that's an HTML details element.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm suggesting. Oh, I see that Afrashal has joined the meeting. Hi. Agree, disagree, anyone?
Yes, agree on that approach. It's clearer than just display the whole thing like that.
Okay, any other suggestions for improvement? Simo, do you have other questions related to this?
I think no. I think, yeah, one of the thing was in the issue was whether it should be possible to select transliteration language. But I think we don't want to make it more complex.
Yeah, and I think that's similar to what I said before. If there's a use case for it, then do it. But from a usability point of view, simpler is better.
Yeah.
So that can be overridden by a strong use case, but if you're asking for usability review, then it's simpler not to.
Yeah.
Okay, do you have what you need?
Yeah, I have. Thanks.
And you'll leave a comment on the issue?
Yeah, I'll do that.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
Christina, would you like to go next?
Yeah. Okay. 1 second. I prepared. Okay. I'm gonna share the screen. Can you see it?
Yes.
Cool. So basically last week I presented the proposal to create user personas for Drupal, at least for the administration user interface. And basically the goal is, with this definition, provide like some guidance for different functionalities, different menus, in general, different things that might need different users. I'm gonna share the link again on the
I beat you to it.
UX. Sorry? Oh, okay, thank you.
I just pasted it into the Zoom chat.
Thank you, that's great. Okay, so that basically I came last week to the meeting with the initial proposal with some work still to do, and I asked folks on the call like to help me out because I'm really bad at writing, and especially with a language that is not mine, which is English. And the goal is to define these user personas, propose that on ideas issue queue, and then from there post them either on Drupal.org or whatever, but ideally use them as a guidance for making calls in the future. some thoughts that came up were like, is this going to end up implemented as roles shipping on the standard profile or not? Or well, this kind of questions that is probably like, how are we going to implement that? But the first thing is like to present that to the broad community so people can actually give feedback. And yeah, basically I've been doing some work, like I've started like, trying to be better in here. I started the attempt to create the first the skeleton for the ideas HQ proposal, like stuff that needs to be defined, like the problem, motivation, and all these things. But still, there's some work in here, and I'm not sure up to which point we really need to have everything finished, which I think so, before actually posting that. And with that, I think Benji, you also did some work in here, so if you want to jump in.
I created a slide deck using the same text from the Google Doc, so that if this is something people would like to bring to their meetups and talk about and get feedback, you can use that. I will paste a link into the Zoom
I
chat.
think I had it open. It's not open. I thought I opened it, but I'm not sure where I left it. Maybe. Oh, here it
I got
is.
So Christina, I think maybe what we should do, as long as we have the group together, is just go through one or two of the roles and see whether anyone has anything to add to what you've already got.
There is stuff to do, like, for example, all these things, and especially the content manager one, which is going to be the most problematic, I would say, because, well, not problematic, but it's going to be like, there's going to be some pushback for sure, because not everybody uses like the content manager per se. And probably we should kind of propose it or explain it as an add-on or a role on top. Well, I'm already thinking on roles as a user persona on top of the content editor that actually shares a lot of stuff with the content editor. But yeah, we kind of start. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so not every site will have all these personas. Sometimes
Exactly.
one person will have two of them. I think that's okay. But I guess, yeah, let's look at the 5 roles we have: administrator, site builder, content editor, content manager, and anonymous.
Yes.
And so content editor and content manager, there's often, these are separate roles, one person writing the content and then a second person approving it and deciding when to publish it. So again, not every site, but it's a pretty common use case. And you'd like to look at the second role, the content manager?
Yeah, so first, before that, I was trying to come up with some text in here where we present that to the community. So we explain that we already have the content editor role on the standard profile. And there is an issue to create a content manager role where there's like some back and forward on the permissions that it needs to have. So that's really important. Like we came up with, like, for example, you just said that maybe the content editor can't publish its own content, while I would think that content editor can publish its own content and maybe the content manager can administer the content for other people. So these kind of things, it's something that we'll need to be sure that we ask for feedback for these specific, more controversial things.
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead, sorry.
Does anyone else here have experience with that sort of management of the site?
Well, I have some experience kind of helping clients manage site.
Okay. Yeah, it's too bad that Thomas isn't here this week. Haven't seen him in a while. He would certainly have good opinions on this. But let's look then at what you have so far for the content manager and see if we can come up with anything to add to that. Okay.
So probably we also should think about create some kind of poll or some kind of form or something like that actually Drupal shops can send to their clients to give feedback from real clients. For example, like you might start defining a site, and by the time that it's delivered, then 1 year after, some other needs might have been discovered. So I think it would be good to get real clients answers in here, not just Drupal community that actually builds sites. So yeah, let's start. Is there anything else that we want to discuss to be sure how about the time that we have?
I mean, are there other issues we want to talk about?
Yeah.
Yeah, there is one I'd like. So if we can limit this to 10 or 15 minutes more, I'd like to have the rest of the time.
Okay. Would you like to start with the administrator, for example, and we can move on later on to something else?
Okay. Yeah, well, let's just choose one role and let people suggest additions.
Okay. So what we defined for the administrator was, for example, that as a behavior, just to for whoever wasn't around last time, we don't want to go super on really a big detail on like demographics for a person, a user persona, because it's something that it usually happens on a lot of user personas, but I don't think we need to go that far. So we are just defining the behaviors, like what they usually do, why are they doing that, how, and what's the thing that frustrates them the most. And obviously, which technology are they used to. So on the behaviors, like what they usually do is like a big part of the day-to-day work is Drupal. Well, the goal is that person is usually responsible for administering a Drupal site. It means that it can be the person, like for example, it's going to be the admin for a Drupal site once that is delivered by the Drupal shop or it's built inside. And what this user is going to do is going to spend a big part of their day-to-day work in Drupal. It will keep track of the status of the site, like database and server problems or modular security updates. And it's going to update the site and its contributed modules. So it's not just going to keep track, but also it's going to actually update that. He's going to develop new features, writing modules, and it's going to administer permissions for other users and maybe create permissions. Can you think of anything else? Look.
Simo, I see you've unmuted yourself, but I don't hear anything.
Yeah, I was thinking like kind of this. Well, administrator probably does troubleshooting, So it's they're like keeping track of the site, but also kind of this kind of a clearing caches, that kind of a maintenance actions.
Okay. So troubleshooting, I think that's a good thing to add.
Yeah, and also kind of a well, clearing the caches is something that's kind of a one of the like a lot of problems disappear when you clear the cache. So that's kind of a, there is a kind of that, or running the cron manually or stuff.
Okay.
Great, thanks. Anything else? Good. Okay, so the motivations are, I just came up, I just was able to come up with that person is that responsible of the site, so it obviously wants to keep it working. Not sure if anybody can think of anything else.
Let's say something like is responsible to the site owner.
Is responsible
Yes,
for?
not for, but to the site owner. So wants to keep the site owner happy would be a little flippant way to say it.
Okay, so it's kind of wants to keep the employer happy. So maybe it's not the person, he's not the person that actually owns the site.
Typically not.
Okay. About attitudes, does anybody have an idea? I'm trying to find.
I'm not sure what attitudes really means.
No.
It's
I'm trying to find the example.
like responsible or big picture. Is that the sort of phrase you're looking for under attitudes?
Yeah, let me find. This is an example.
Can you zoom in a little bit? That's,
yeah, sure.
oh, that's much better. Thanks. Likes the term
Yeah,
flexible, thinks WordPress is for simple sites. Like,
yeah, 1 second. I'm gonna open another one next to this one. So you have another. Example. I'm not gonna write it because you're gonna be way faster reading it than myself reading it to you. But things like these are like what attitudes, like it cares or it doesn't care about Drupal per se, or he believes in open source. We can decide that this is not really useful. This is kind of in the gray area of usefulness, like the information like adding like a name and demographics and all these things. So we can skip that.
Okay.
What other people think? Do you see, does anybody think that this should be skipped? Like +1 if you agree. Should we skip this?
Well, if we don't have anything to add to it, let's skip it for now. Frustrations, that's always something that people love to talk about. Frustrations, the site is slow.
Yeah.
It's complicated. The options aren't clearly described or are confusing.
Do you really think the site is slow for the admin person would be a thing that the administrator would think of, or it could be more like a frustration for a site builder, for example, or a content editor? Because I don't see like as a general frustration for all Drupal sites. It could become a frustration, but I'm not sure. I would vote for this 100%, but I'm not sure about this.
Okay, yeah, I guess we could move that to one of the other roles. Say the person actually using the site editor, or the content editor, is the one who cares that the site is slow.
Yeah, so go to the content editor more than the admin.
So
Okay.
content editor frustrations. You've already added it.
Yeah. Okay. And what about the tech use? The administrator is going to be a person that is able to use Git, the console or terminal is he can use Drush, maybe some DevOps like servers and things like that. He'll know how to deal with that. And mainly trying to use the laptop, like either with a monitor or the laptop itself. It's not going to use the Drupal site with that.
Yeah, I would remove anything that doesn't typically have a keyboard. So
Cool. Do you want to jump into the other issue that you had in mind? Go ahead.
I was just thinking tech use for the administrator would be some sort of cloud platform.
Yeah, that's true.
Like AWS, Amazon, or Google, or what's the Microsoft one, Azure.
That makes sense. Thanks.
So I would like to get input from the others. Would you like to continue on this topic, or anything to add here? Because there is something that I would like to bring up. Okay, not hearing any opinions. If you'll let me share my screen. Go on to this. Give me a minute while I find the right window. we go. Okay, so I think everyone should see my screen where I'm looking at the same thing that we were looking at a minute ago. And if you're familiar with Zoom, you'll know that it's now a little harder for me to keep my eye on the chat since I'm sharing my screen. But the issue I would like to talk about is 3333383 or 3333383. I accidentally clicked somewhere I didn't mean to. So to create a redirect for the new block types path. So this is something that we changed recently. It's not in any released version of Drupal yet, but in the development version for 10.1, we have changed things so that directly under the structure menu in the admin menu, there's now an item for custom block types. And that's the first step of further rearrangements that are going to happen. But what happens if you navigate to the old path, which could happen if you have a bookmark in your browser or if you've made a shortcut? I mean, almost no one seems to use the shortcut module, but it's there. So currently, if you do go to the old path, you'll get a page not found error. And this issue is about adding a redirect. And so I've got the I'm using the current patch from the issue so that instead of getting a page not found, we get redirected to the new page. It's directly under the structure menu, admin structure block content, and you've got just the breadcrumbs for admin structure. And the current usability question is this warning message. And the current text is the custom block types page has moved from /admin structure block content types to admin structure block content. You have been redirected, but this redirect will be removed in a future update. Update links, shortcuts, and bookmarks to use the current page. And one thing I just noticed while reading that is that it's a little bit awkward to have the word update at the end of one sentence than the beginning of the next sentence. But what do you think about that message? What can we do to improve it? And I guess the standard usability concerns are: 1, does it describe what's happening? 2, is it actionable? Does it tell you what to do to fix it? And 3, can we make it shorter? I believe that the current message is longer than I would like. So I would like to shorten it. So any opinions on how we could shorten it or find other ways to improve it?
Something like the custom block page had moved and you give the link and then you just say, please update the link, shortcut, and bookmark using the current page.
So you pretty much cut out this middle sentence. Is that what you're suggesting?
Right, because obviously you can see that, right? The move from one link to another, to the first path to the second path, so user would know that has been redirected. So the action is just update the link and just provide the action.
Okay. So do other people agree, disagree with that change? Should we remove the middle sentence? I guess one, go ahead, Isfan.
Yeah, thank you. So I believe if we remove the middle section is fine, or sentence, sorry, but we need to change the title of the header, like, and the warning message is not so informative. So I think we should put the "you have been redirected" text into the header, and it will be more useful and helpful for the user. What do you think?
That's not really an option. The warning message, this is what you're talking about, right? The header?
Yeah.
Yeah, that comes from the theme. That's not something we have control over.
Oh, okay.
So given that we can't change that, do you still want to preserve this message somehow?
Mhm.
Like we could make instead of removing it entirely, we could shorten it and put it at the start. You have been redirected.
Yes, you have been redirected because the page has moved from that and that to /admin. That's a structure, and it is shorter, I believe.
So let me just play with my browser tools a bit and look at some options. Cut that. So let's see, how do you like that? It's a little bit shorter. The custom block types page has moved from admin structure block blah blah to this new link. We no longer have the awkward update at the end of one sentence.
Yeah,
next.
that's right.
Update links, shortcuts, and bookmarks to use the current page. So also one problem is custom block types is the title of the current page, but in the old version, let me see if I can find a screenshot. I guess it would be on the related issue. It used to be a sub-tab, and the page title would be it would be the block types sub-tab on this page. So the block title would be custom block library. So I think it's not really accurate to call it custom block types page. We could make it really short. You have been redirected from and like let's not tell people where we've been redirected to, because they can see that in their browser. Although I guess that's not always true. What's that?
That's right.
I can see it in my browser, but some browsers hide that by default. But anyway, this would be sort of the shortest possible version. You have been redirected from blah, 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 update links, shortcuts, and bookmarks to use the current page. And there's also the question of this language prefix. Since I'm using the Umami demo profile, I have a multilingual site, and the path starts with /en. It's like, do we have to tell them what the current page is when we don't even know whether we should use a language prefix? So it's almost at the top of the hour. So any quick takes on this? Do you like the shorter version?
Yeah, much better.
Have I made it too short? Is there important information that's left out?
No, you got all the key good in there, so it's good.
Should I leave this at all, given that it might be inaccurate since it's missing the language prefix and they can get it from their browser bar? Should I leave it out or should I keep it in? All right, no strong opinions, I guess. Okay, well, thank you all for coming. Oh, go ahead.
Nothing. It's okay. It always depends on the users, or yeah, it's hard to make an opinion when we don't really know the users. And at least by my side, so yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you all for coming. It is the end of the hour and I want to respect your time. So I'll be here again next week. Hope some of you can make it. And we can always
Thank you.
follow up on Slack.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.